Hey there, everybody. It's meteorologist JB Singleton. We're watching stuff here all over the radar screen. Got it lit up like a Christmas tree. Christmas in, the end of May, as we are in this Memorial Day weekend, I guess, kicking it off. Wanted to show you that we do have a few storms that are on the strong side. I'm not sure about anything overly severe at the moment, although I am seeing some indications of a strong cell near the Lynchburg area. I believe a special weather statement has just been issued for that area. So let me zoom you in here a little bit out of Bedford and into Lynchburg, and I will read you the special weather statement. We've had a few storms today, nothing overly severe, but this one's concerning because the storm near Lynchburg has a fair amount of lightning with it. You can see a subtle hook there, a little bit of rotation, and as I mentioned in my Patreon post yesterday and overnight last night, even into this morning, watching this area because this is where we're going to see the most spin. If you've got winds here that are coming in out of the north and east, I'll show you that here. You look at our METARs here, and you can see the winds coming in like this. To the south here, you've got winds that are coming in out of the southwest, south of that boundary, actually more out of the south. And it is 90 degrees down here. And up here, it's 74 near Stanton. So there's a big temperature difference there. And should something develop, it could begin to spin just a little bit. So we'll look at everything as we go through the afternoon and evening hours, but I'm going to read you a couple of special weather statements that we've got in effect. This one right here for Lynchburg is for the city of Lynchburg, and it looks like the most intense part of this storm is just north of Evington. Also looks like we've got some rotation in there as well. Broad rotation. Nonetheless, I see some interesting velocity features there. It's kind of looking aloft here to see a lot of rain falling. Also see the potential for some damaging straight line winds with some of this activity. Our freezing levels around 11,000 feet, so I'm looking for an updraft, and at 1.8 degrees that shows up. So this is the strongest part of the storm where the updraft is moving in, and that correlates well with the reflectivity. I'll read you the special weather statement. At 3:10, radar indicated strong storms near Good. Turned near Huddleston, movement to the east at 25 miles per hour, winds in excess of 40 miles per hour, and half-inch hail possible with these storms. You have to have 1 inch for it to officially be severe. But winds of 40 miles per hour and half-inch hail is sub-severe by just a little bit. Still going to get your attention, especially in Lynchburg City, near Forest and Timberlake there. Lots of lightning occurring out ahead of that storm. But the part that I'm most worried about, if we were to look at any kind of potential for rotation or anything, would be from Evington to Rustburg into Campbell County, central and northern Campbell County. Near Rustburg, you want to be on the lookout north of Gladys for the possibility of seeing maybe something like a wall cloud or something like that. Very broad rotation at the moment. So I'm not seeing anything that really jumps out at me in terms of anything like that. But where the Weather Prediction Center has that front, the storm is crossing that boundary. And a lot of our storms that develop, that end up producing tornadoes locally, involve some kind of a warm front or stationary front like you're seeing around the pronounced wedge. The wedge today isn't overly pronounced. It's kind of in situ in that we've had some rain and storms moved out to the north today, and that's brought the warm front north, but it's also stacking it south in some areas. Now we've also got something to look for down here. We've got a second line of storms, so we're going to have these waves of storms throughout the evening hours. But around Christiansburg, some thunder, lightning, very heavy rain in Montgomery County right now on Interstate 81. So for the evening commute here coming up, there are going to be some wet spots out there, and we do need rain. About an inch of rain will fall for most areas, it looks like, into the weekend, on and off. But we've got a strong storm near the Floyd County area, Vesta, Woolwine, and Stewart. This is moving closer into southwestern Franklin County. The storm may intensify. This is right now, again, Floyd, Stewart, Copper Hill, Ferrum, Indian Valley, Bassett, and Woolwine. Move it to the northeast at 35 miles per hour. So let me put that storm motion vector on so I can look at the velocity here. So we'll go back. I'm zooming in the Stewart just to, I'm going to place a marker right here. And I'm going to measure storm motion. Okay, so now when I go to storm relative velocity, I'll be able to take out the storm motion and just look at the velocity within the thunderstorm, and it takes out some of the base velocity stuff that sometimes is hard to read. You see more reds popping up there because we have subtracted the motion of the storm. So we are the storm. When we look at it this way, we're looking at the winds within the storm. Don't see anything too crazy there, but you can certainly now see, as I've put that storm motion vector on, you can see the rotation. Again, it's very, very broad. It'll amaze people when I tell them how much distance just one radar pixel covers. You think that that's very tight, but you actually get in here and there's over a mile distance in a lot of these, most of these pixels, especially at this distance. You can actually see with the Google Earth here, I've got underneath it, you can see that one radar pixel there, and that it covers up several homes and, you know, several neighborhoods just in that one pixel. So we're looking at multiple pixels here where we're seeing that rotation. So that's what we mean by broad rotation. But it's coming up on the airport here, the closest, the most intense part of that storm. That's the airport there. They are reporting 82 degrees in Lynchburg with calm wind. That may be changing soon. Dew point at 65. I'm at 70 in Franklin County, and that's what these storms are going to be moving into. Some rich air. Definitely, we've got plenty of moisture out here to work with. The question is, do we have any instability to really get these things charged up? And we actually do. I'm going to show you a few maps here. These may look a bit confusing at times, but I'll try to explain it for you. So I've got Cape overlaid here, and it is hard to see. But these values down here across Carolina, I don't think that's up to date. Some of these values are a lot lower than I actually suspected. There's a big hole on the lower Cape values north of Raleigh, which is interesting. But off to the west across the NRV, we've got Cape values which are a bit higher, around 1,500 joules per kilogram, I believe. 1250. Okay, 1250. It's not too bad, but you would want to see something a little bit higher in terms of something obvious. In terms of, you know, are we seeing a lot of instability to really get these storms going? Because it's not just the wind shear. Yeah, we've got wind shear along that warm front, as I mentioned. And again, if I had to draw it, it would be something like this. But while I'm talking to you, I'm just going to say it's not just the wind shear. You know, you've got your warm front through here, but you've also got to have a fair amount of Cape coming in down on the southern end of this to really prime the atmosphere. And we've got some of that. You can see these towering cumulus clouds off to the south, but we've got really meager values, in my opinion. It could be a lot worse. So we're going to have to watch this just over the next couple of hours. And the big storm system is still off to the west. So if I pop up for you here GR Earth, and we'll get that going, you can see here that this is the upper level system. This doesn't even get close by until later in the weekend, Saturday or in the Sunday. And putting that into motion, you can get an idea. It's going to take a second to load up there, but it's going to be a busy time for us even after we get on the colder side of the system on Saturday afternoon. We may have more storms overnight tonight and in the Saturday morning for Southside. before the colder air moves back in. We've had a couple of tornado warnings, one in Tennessee and one there near the Chesapeake Bay. That's been a result of, again, that warm front that's lifted through, and this is more along the QLCS line that's coming through the Nashville area right now. But certainly a lot more in the way of energy. If you look at the trend, certainly we've got more rain off to the west. So I just want to give you an overall picture that things will be going downhill in just terms of seeing general rain and general thunderstorms over the next several hours. So this is the first wave moving in, and we'll see if we can recover instability-wise from some of these storms that are moving through right now. One thing that I kind of wonder in terms of what we'll see is the storms that you're seeing near Lynchburg right now. Do these have a second outflow boundary that may help to pinch off some of that cape and kind of focus a little more spin? We've got the warm front, something like this. You've got this area of storms here coming out of the NRV that have been tracking across the Roanoke Valley. And we actually had Mark Overbeck had a picture, and I've retweeted his picture a couple of hours ago in Cave Spring of a small wall cloud. So there's been some rotation with these. But the bigger threat out here may lie in the form of damaging straight line winds across Southside. Downdraft capes are elevated, and that certainly gives you the potential for some damaging straight line winds when you have a situation like that. But what I'm talking about too is if we've got a second boundary that forms from the outflow of these storms, and that so you effectively bring your front farther south, you effectively bring down the northeast and cooler winds a little bit farther south than maybe what the official analysis shows. And then later on in the evening, as this stuff moves through, doesn't encounter that boundary. And some of the modeling was showing that a little bit earlier. So certainly some heavier rainfall, a lot of lightning out there, some rotation, some strong updrafts for sure showing up on the radar picture, and the potential for some spin as we go into the rest of the afternoon and into the evening hours. Any warnings we'll auto post, and I'll be letting you know what's going on. So keep it here. Stay weather aware.